Hey guys, it's Alice again. Welcome to another Raw Wednesday video, and if you want, subscribe to my channel. Please do press the subscribe button. I do Raw Wednesdays every single Wednesday and I upload 3 times a week in total on this channel, and there's a great mixture of stuff, so I'm sure you will find something that you will like. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let's set ourselves a goal. Let's try and get 300 thumbs up. So if you're watching and haven't yet pressed that thumbs up button, please do if you enjoy the video. And yeah, so I decided that today's video is going to actually be about university, and as you might know, I actually am in my second year of university. I've almost finished my second year. After handing in a few essays, I'm done. I now don't have any timetabled lessons anymore, which is super duper scary, and I can't believe I'm almost in third year. And it's just gone by so fast, and I'm sure for a lot of you who've followed me right from the beginning agree how fast it has gone. I mean, like, the university years aren't even years. Like, I'm only at university for 24 weeks out of 52 in the entire year, so it goes super fast. But I thought I would share with you my experience of living in halls versus a house, because I have had 3 different living situations actually in the space of 2 years, which is not quite as common as you think it would be. I had a bit of a situation at the beginning, so I thought I'd just talk through it and like kind of compare them a little bit. So I hope you find this useful. Let me know if you've got any tips or questions in the comments, and let's go. So basically, I'm not going to chop this video, and I can't breathe, I'm talking too fast, so we're just going to deal with the fact that I talk too fast sometimes. So in first year, I actually lived in a place called Pavilion House, and I go to the University of Lincoln. If you don't know, I did do a tour of Pavilion House after I left, so if you want to see that, and if that's somewhere you've been looking at, or you just want to see a student accommodation, I did do a tour on my channel, so look out for that. And Pavilion House was really nice. I actually started off there in a 6-bedroomed shared flat with like a big kitchen and like a little breakfast bar and like a sofa and TV area thing. It was a super nice flat. I loved that flat, and I met my flatmates and it was all fine and dandy, and after like 3 months things kind of weren't going how we particularly liked them. There was a few little conflicts between us. Mess is definitely an issue in student accommodation, because I don't know, people are used to having their parents around tidying up, and it's kind of not your space, like, because it's so shared. There's like arguments on whose turn it is to like do the dishwasher and whose turn it is to clean the floor, and it's just a bit of a mission, and because you're all like strangers, it is kind of difficult at first. So yeah, mess was a bit of an issue, but I mean, it wasn't really that bad. I had my own room to go to afterwards, so I kind of just escaped to my own bedroom and stayed in there. Again, if you followed me for a while, you probably already know that I ended up moving out of that flat early, and I'm not going to go into the details. Basically, in short, there was a bit of a personality clash with the people in there. They're all lovely people, and I got on with them all very well individually, and I still get on with them very well. Like, we're all still friends, which is nice. So there's nothing really wrong there. I think it was just the situation. I wasn't happy with the mess, because I get like really anxious and stuff when things are messy, and like a few incidents happened and it just kind of spiraled, and I just didn't feel comfortable living there anymore. It wasn't anything really to do with the people, it was more of the situation. Nothing ever happened personally between us. We never really offended each other personally and hated each other's guts. Like, it was just a situation. So I ended up moving out, which led me to go to a studio flat, which I loved. It was in the same accommodation, so it was Pavilion House still, and it was actually the ground floor of the same block that I was in with the other flat. And I remember being so scared about like bumping into my old flatmates, because it was still a bit like awkward tension because I'd moved out and it was like a bit of a thing, which now we just all laugh about. So we got past it, and the studio flat, again, I do have a tour of that. That was like a lot better for me because it was tidy and it was my own space, and I knew like where everything was, and I just felt like a lot more organised and a lot more settled there. But it was so super weird living in a studio flat. Like, I could literally spend all day by myself, and it's really strange. Like, you can't escape anywhere. Like, when I'm sat in my bedroom, like on my bed, I was basically sat in the kitchen and on the desk. Like, it just I didn't have like separate spaces, and I feel like we underestimate how much our brains need to sometimes just get out of the room we're in, and I couldn't get out of that room because it was all joined together, if that makes any sense. I used to mention it quite a lot in the vlogs, but I just felt like I needed an escape, and because I was kind of I guess I was kind of secluding myself. It meant that like if I stayed there on the weekends, which was very rare because I used to go home quite a lot then, I'd end up just being in the flat by myself for like days at a time, and it's kind of isolating. I feel like if you are happy with being like that, and if you are outgoing enough to invite people round, I feel like a studio flat would be a good idea for you, but just be aware it does feel super strange, and I was so ready to move out of that flat. As much as I loved it and I loved the fact that I had my own space and my own kitchen and blah blah blah, I was glad to be moving out, and it was just really weird being in the same room 24/7. Like, it was just strange. Like, it was a lovely place, but you know, I don't know, it's weird. I did miss my shared flat. I loved the layout of my old bedroom, and shared flats I think can work really well as long as you get put with people that you get along with and everyone kind of deals with the situations that happen, which obviously we didn't very well. I feel like that was really good. I particularly liked the view I had in my old room, and yeah, I think the shared flat had its pros and cons, but also the studio flat did, so I think it's worth weighing them up. Yes, it's super duper scary meeting like 5 new people that you're gonna end up living with, but I feel like everyone's in the same situation, and even though you might not end up best friends with them, somehow it ends up working out. Like, obviously we all ended up falling out and I moved out, but now I'm like really close friends with one of the girls that I originally lived with, so it's got a strange way of working things out. And even if it is kind of crappy at the time and you are a bit nervous about it, try not to be, because I mean, I got through it, and if I got through it, you can get through it. So anyway, second year came about, and I actually ended up living in a house. There was 4 of us, well, we are still technically living there. There's 4 of us, we were all together, 2 girls, 2 boys, and it was actually like my friend's dad's house, so it worked out that our rent was actually like a lot cheaper than general rent, which was really nice because Pavilion House is very expensive and I didn't have much spare money. So this year I've had a little bit of spare money, which has been very nice, and I haven't had to rely on my parents too much. So yeah, I really like my room in the house that I'm in right now. It is a little bit on the smaller side, but I mean, like, the quality of the house is lovely. We've got 2 bathrooms, and I feel like because it's an actual house, I feel like the tidiness thing... 1 minute, Dad, I'm filming. I feel like the tidiness thing we take on a little bit more personally, because like a house feels like actually ours, as opposed to like, oh, it's just, we're just renting like student accommodation. You're supposed to be messy in student accommodation. Even though it's a student house, I feel like we care for it better. Probably something to do with the fact that it is our friend's dad's house. But I mean, like, even the boys, and the boys are messy and they would agree with me, even the boys are aware when we need to tidy up, and we kind of all just like muck in and get it done. So I feel like if cleanliness is an issue, usually student houses seem to have a little bit of a better like review on cleanliness. Well, in my situation they have anyway, and I feel like a lot of my friends are the same. It obviously depends on who you live with. I mean, like, some student houses are gross, but I mean, if cleanliness isn't an issue for you like it is for me, then you should be okay. But I feel like living in a house makes it feel like a lot more like you're adulting. It makes it feel like you are actually moved out from your parents, you've got to do like everything for yourself, you've got a little garden, you've got like your own front door, you don't have like studenty blue coloured carpets. Living in a house is so much different to living in student accommodation. You definitely just feel like you're kind of temporarily living in a student flat, because it is like blue carpets and you've got to fob your way in, and it's like so different. And when you get a house, you're like, hang on, I'm a real adult now. This is weird. At least that's what I felt like, and I know that everyone else in the house did. But yeah, the house situation now is really nice. Again, we had a bit of conflict, but I mean, there were 4 new people living together. That's obviously going to happen, but I mean, that's all been sorted out. We're all really happy. I feel like you just kind of learn like little bits of conflict that kind of happen. You get past them and realise that they really are irrelevant, and there wasn't any need for that, and now we're all mature enough and we respect each other's wishes and we're kind of alright. So I feel like there's definitely pros and cons to house living. Cons, probably, I don't actually think there are any cons to living in the house, because I mean, ideally I'd like it to be close to the uni because I'm lazy. But I mean, I love living in the house. Probably the security was something that we were worried about at first, because obviously in student accommodation you've got like security staff and like so many locked doors, whereas in a house, like, it's just you. So that was something we were worried about, but obviously nothing has arisen that has made us worried about our own security. So I mean, I think that's just something you think about at first and kind of get used to. You've got to remember to lock the door at night, because that's just a thing. You don't want anyone trying your door handle. But other than that, I feel like I don't think there are many cons to owning a house. Like, you have to remember to clean out the bottom of the tumble dryer, and like you have to clean out the goop in the washing machine. But like, this is stuff that you're gonna have to deal with as an adult. I remember when I started cleaning the inside of the washing machine thinking, wow, this is adulting. What am I doing? And like cleaning the toilet and stuff. It's just weird adult stuff that you don't really think about if your parents have done that for you. So yeah, that's basically my little conclusion of my living situations. My shared flat was so nice, I loved it, and I kind of wish that we'd dealt with the situation differently, because one, I would have saved myself a lot of money, I would have saved myself a lot of stress, but I feel like at the time me moving to a studio flat was definitely the best decision that I could have made, and I'm very, very glad that I had the opportunity to move, because I just wasn't in the right mental state to stay in that place. So then the studio flat was also great, but also really weird, because it was kind of like isolating and a really weird situation of being in one room all the time. And the house is literally as if you've lived by yourself, like properly. It feels like you've properly adulted and you've properly moved out and you've got to adult properly, and it's just a whole lot different. And now, because I've lived in an actual house, I actually can't wait for the day when I'm going to live in my own house, because I've had to learn how to look after a house for itself. So I am excited for the day when I own my own place, which is cool. So yeah, and I never thought I was going to say that. I always thought I was going to be living here with my parents in my happy little bubble, but look at me now. So yeah, if you are worried about accommodation or moving out or anything like that, please do leave any questions that you have in the comments. I'll try and answer them as best I can. I hope you enjoyed this chatty little Raw Wednesday. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let's try and get to 300. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on Friday with another video.